Come on in, everybody. Hi, everyone. We are just getting everybody into the Zoom room right now. So give us about 2 minutes and we'll go ahead and start. We have an amazing group with us today from DigitalOnQ and some very distinguished guests. So I will introduce them in just a couple of minutes. But for now, just get yourself nice and comfortable, and we'll hop right in. Okay, welcome everyone. I want to thank you for being here today. My name is Cheryl Chrisman. I'm with DigitalOnQ, and we have some amazing people with us today. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for being here, taking time out of your day. I know you guys are incredibly busy, and we really appreciate you being here. So today, let me share my screen here. Today, what we are going to focus on is the evidence governance versus your evidence capture. And I know we've had a lot of requests for this kind of information. So um, we're going to jump right in. But first, I want to introduce our panelists to you so that you know who's talking and what their background is and a little bit of everything else. So oops, let's go back here. So today we have with us Dr. Alexis Grockmal. She's a veteran of law enforcement with 20 years of experience at the uh, Prince George County. I always trip over that. Prince George County Police Department in Virginia. And she effectively combines traditional policing methods with modern technical investigations. She has a doctorate in cybersecurity, and she has extensive expertise in digital forensics, network security, and incident response. Throughout her 2 decades of service, she has played a crucial role in strengthening law enforcement data systems against emerging cyber threats. So she helps us out quite a bit and has obviously a huge expertise. So you're going to hear from her in just a little bit. You're mostly going to be hearing from Brian Tracy today. And he's an account executive in the Northeast, and he's been with DigitalOnQ since 2025. He has 15 years of law enforcement experience, serving primarily as a New Hampshire state trooper, and he worked in a variety of units, including K-9 and narcotics. And we also have with us today Ramona Malwan, who has served as an account executive for the Southeast region at DigitalOnQ since 2021. And she has a background in evidence management, crime scene investigations, and forensic analysis. And then lastly, Andy is our group product manager here at DigitalOnQ. He has a career in software that spans over 20 years across different industries, including law enforcement. And he joined DigitalOnQ in May of 2024 to provide a meaningful role in supporting law enforcement professionals every day. So That's who you're going to be hearing from today. Brian's going to be leading us here. So I'm going to hand it over to him. Brian, it's all yours now.
Thanks, Cheryl. If you want to go to the next slide. So who's FileOnQ? I know we have some customers that are listening. We have some people that have never heard of FileOnQ and a mix of both, but we have over 30 years of being in the space. We're primarily known for our physical and digital evidence management systems, but we have a lot more platforms that we do offer as well, including sexual assault kit tracking, case management, fleet and quartermaster. So there's other things that we provide as well. We have over 400 customers that span across the US and into Canada. We do hire a lot of former law enforcement officers and people in that space. We have over 200 years of combined law enforcement experience. And like I said, we have 10 plus tailored solutions, but primarily today we're going to talk about the digital evidence management system. You want to go to the next one, Cheryl? Go back one, Cheryl. So this is pretty much why we're here today. If you see on the screen, are you still using thumb drives and flash drives, CDs, DVDs, or shared network drives for your, digital evidence? As a former state trooper, that's what I did quite a bit, and it's a lot of time wasted doing that. So we do have a quick poll we want to put out. If you could take a minute to answer the 3 questions, Cheryl, can you throw the poll up for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
And this will just
Yes.
gauge kind of the audience and what agencies are using. So this should be interactive. You should be able to see the 3 questions. How big's your agency? What body worn camera system are you currently using? And then how are you managing your digital evidence currently? We'll give you, 30 seconds to answer that. Cheryl, can you kind of see how many people have answered and if they need more time?
Yeah, we've got some, let's see, we've got some good answers. Um, uh, wow. Okay. I'm going to end the poll so you can see the information. But basically, it looks like on number one, how many sworn officers? The largest percentage, 29%, has 26 to 50.
Okay.
And the body worn camera is Axon. 100% of people are using that particular camera.
Hmm.
And how do you currently manage your digital evidence? 43% have thumb drives, flash drives, CD, DVD, and 43% have dedicated digital evidence management system, and 14% have something other than that. Um, so that's where we're at on that, and I'll just share that for the group
Great.
there.
Thank you. Yeah, and if you guys can go to if you want to go to the next slide, Cheryl.
Mhm.
And I think what you're seeing, some of the issues or reasons why using thumb drives, flash drives, shared networks, there's some risks to that. One is being the security, right? It's hard to, a thumb drive or CD can get lost, stolen, misplaced. It's really hard to track who's actually looking at that digital evidence. Same with the chain of custody. There's really no way to see who's going into certain pictures or videos and watching them and who's editing or altering those videos or pictures. And then the time consumption, right? Having to actually deliver a thumb drive to the prosecutor's office, download it, deliver it, make sure it gets there, and then driving back, could be 30 minutes, an hour. That's a lot of time wasted. Whereas in a system like ours, you can simply just share it through the system. And then the retention. How long are we storing this digital evidence for? How do we know when we uploaded it and when that retention period meets? There's really no way to track that. So just those are just some of the reasons why it's important to look at a digital evidence management system. You want to go to the next slide?
Mhm.
And this is the last slide before I turn over to Dr. Grockmal, then jump right into the demo. But these are some of the things that we have to offer. And I'm not saying, I know a lot of you probably use evidence.com, and that's great, but there are some differences between us and evidence.com and other body-worn camera digital evidence systems out there. For the security and compliance, we have unalterable chain of custody tracking, so you can see who's looking at the evidence, who has altered it, edited it, who's maybe moved it or transferred it, and then compliant with the IEP standards. We have universal access, whether it's from a phone or web browser. We have role-based access control as well. So inside the system, if you want, your patrol officers not to see the homicide cases, or you have a internal affairs case that you only want the two investigators seeing that evidence, you can lock it down by the type of crime or to the actual specific case number as well. The automated retention. So having the ability to, when maybe you have lost or found property that after 6 months, you want to make sure that you're not holding on to it any longer. Well, you can tell when that 6 months is up, and then you can go and decide what you want to do with that digital evidence. Hardware agnostic, if you want to integrate with a body-worn camera system, an RMS system, we can do that. And then just most importantly, the storage flexibility. I know there's a lot of agencies out there that want to be on-prem or want to be in cloud. We offer both, and we offer a hybrid approach as well. So there is that flexibility there. I just want to take a minute. I'm going to turn over to Dr. Grockmal. If you don't mind just sharing, your experience with DigitalOnQ, but more importantly, just having some sort of digital evidence management system and the importance of that. And you might have to go off mute, Dr. Grockmal.
Yep. Happy to be here, Brian. I appreciate you guys having me and the team that follow on Q. So, I guess I'll start here with, law enforcement agencies are generating massive volumes of data daily, especially our body cams, right? Dash cams, surveillance clips, interview recordings. I think that we're all feeling the burdens of that digital evidence and how we're handling that. So, simply put, and you kind of highlighted that, Brian, was that the old ways of handling digital evidence, we're doing those burning DVDs, maybe we're transferring files to thumb drives or storing them on scattered local servers. Those are liability traps, basically, is what we're looking at. And a dedicated DIM system eliminates those digital silos. It establishes that centralized, categorized or secure repository where video and audio files, as well as images, and that document tied to those incidents are cataloged under a single master case number. And that operationally, this saves hundreds of administrative hours. And that's what we're trying to gain back, right? I know everybody I could probably relate to, we just don't have enough people, right? Our staff is struggling to handle these aspects of these things. And we want to make sure officers aren't waiting to do those disc burns or at the end of the shift, or maybe the investigators aren't digging through those network shares to provide the attorney needs that discovery package, or we need a better way to securely provide access to, rather than seconds or days, right? Like Brian highlighted that a lot of times you're trying to get that information over to the attorney, and you're able to do that with that share. So especially in property and evidence management, a big thing for me is chain of custody, right? Non-negotiable, in my opinion. We need to be available to do those digital file, enter that system, and it provides that critical mechanisms to activate. And I know one of the things that, brought me to DigitalOnQ was that automated cryptographic hashing, which that calculates that it's called a SASH or 256 hash for the point of ingestion. And basically that hash acts as an inevitable digital fingerprint. And I know we all know what that is, right? That fingerprint, it attempts to anybody alter that, compress or strip that metadata behind that file, the hash changes instantly. And, in court cases, we don't say it, but we think the file is intact, right? There's no way that could have been changed or anything like that. But that just provides that proof, that chain of custody, that that file has not been changed. And that's one of the highlights of DigitalOnQ system that does that for us. The other thing is kind of highlight is that strict role-based. Not everyone in the agency needs access to everything. I know sometimes that's challenging, but we want to make sure that those permissions are tiered by the role and active assignment, right? Based on who needs access to that evidence. So
yeah.
One of the other things that I think that is really great with DigitalOnQ that does is that inevitable audit trail, right? Every click, view, redaction, download is timestamped and tiered to a unique user or that credential. And when we defense counsel asks who handled the raw data video before that, we have that audit ledger that we can print out for that report. And that's really beneficial. That's come in, I know, several times for our agency specifically. So
Yeah.
One of the big things I think, if I try to think about like 4 specific areas, right? I always try to think those highlights where we've, used DigitalOnQ in cases and such. And one of those is that unified physical digital evidence. So we look at like a lot of our silos, right? You have evidence here and evidence on Q. Maybe you have it over here. And I think that uniformity of those separate silos, right? That physical property and that digital media. And I think that one thing that DigitalOnQ does, it integrates directly into our evidence on Q system. And it allows those investigators and evidence custodians to view maybe that physical side, but also do alongside that body cam footage and crime scene photos from a scene. So that's also a great benefit for us. Another aspect too is device and storage agnostic flexibility. So DigitalOnQ doesn't lock you into that proprietary hardware aspect, like kind of talked about with those long-term cloud contracts that we're all seeing the backs on and some of the other vendors out there. So those interview room systems, the smartphones, that give agencies the choice to store on-prem, I think is invaluable at this point in time, especially for some of our smaller agencies that are struggling with, budget constraints and things of that nature. But it also provides that secure Azure government cloud, which is one of those things you really have to look at nowadays with CGIS compliance. And then I think you highlighted too the hybrid. So that's what I'm kind of in. I'm in a hybrid environment. So I have some cloud aspects. We're also doing some on-prem to look at our budget constraints. And then one of the other big things for me is non-destructive redaction and enhancement. So when we're preparing for footage for public records requests or redactions, we get that original master file is untouched, unlocked, and DigitalOnQ generates that separate derived copy that's an independent hash value. So that's really beneficial for us. We can actually say that file has been untouched or, why it was maybe altered or redacted. And then another big highlight for us is that citizen share capability. And I'm sure Brian's going to get into that later. But investigators can send a direct secure link to our witness, maybe a business, allowing them to upload a lot of that video or CCTV footage straight into the case without handing over physical storage devices. And I don't know about you guys, but my property room, when I took it over, I don't know, I can't even tell you how many hard disk drives we had, USBs, and that just kind of takes a lot of that away. So I think, when leadership's evaluating these things, they really need to think about the digital roadmap that we're seeing. And, I always like to say this, and when I talk to leadership, I always say, don't wait for that compromised case or that discovery crisis to address your digital workflows. You need to treat digital media with the exact same rigor, chain of custody, and auditing as a firearm, maybe a narcotics locker, or even a physical vault is essential. So I think platforms like DigitalOnQ make that level of compliance achievable, they're scalable, and they're defensible from day one. So again, Brian, I appreciate you having me, but that's just some of my things.
Thanks for that. And I know who to call next time we need someone to do a demo, because it sounds like you know it inside and out. So thanks.
I try to, but again, I appreciate you guys having me. And I provide, hope to provide much more about this conversation because it's very dear to me. So thank you.
No, thanks, Dr. Grockmull. So the plan is I'm going to jump into my share right now, and I'm going to do a high-level overview of our system. This is not to mean to be like a deep dive into each area, but it's to get you interested, see what we have to offer. And then if you want to learn more, we can certainly set up time later. And I know Dr. Grockmull offered, if anyone wants to reach out to her, just let me know and I can provide her information. And she's more than happy to talk to you further about the platform. But thanks, Dr. Grockmull. I'm going to take the share now and jump right in.
Yeah, and let me just
go ahead.
Thanks, Dr. Grockmull. I just wanted to let everybody know, I know we're covering a lot of information today, and there's a lot of great stuff here. If you have any questions along the way, there should be a box, Q&A box open for you. Just go ahead and put your questions in there, and then the team that we have with us today will all just try to jump in and get those questions answered. So don't be shy about that. Promise I won't share your name. There are no stupid questions because we are covering a lot today. So go ahead and use that Q&A, and we'll make sure that you get all your questions answered while we have all of the experts in one room.
Absolutely. Thanks, Cheryl. And Ramona or Andy, please jump in if you want to, if I missed something or you want to expand on any part of the platform. But again, you can log in from anywhere. So this is web-based. What I like to hit on right away is we have light or dark mode. So if you're working at night, you can put it in dark mode. If you're working during the day, you can have it in light mode. I'll go to my upload. So I always want to start with what it looks like from an officer's perspective, just uploading a piece of evidence, because that's primarily what your officers are going to be doing a lot of the time, just uploading a video or some pictures. So what I would do, and we're going to go off it just for time's sake. I've already created a case, but if I needed to add that case, I would go in here, type in the case number, and then all the fields you see here, this is configurable to what your agency wants to track and not track. We have some agencies that just have 4 or 5 fields. We have some agencies that have all this information. Andy's going to go over the profiler at the end, and that he's going to show you how easy it is for you to go in and manipulate a field, move a field, change a field. But let's go in and I'm going to use a case that I've already created. You can make the fields required or not required. So I'll go in here and let's just say it's US currency pictures I need to upload. It was from the primary bedroom. It was submitted by me. And case subfolders allow you to have like subfolders within a case. So I'll show you shortly with this case. I'll go in here. I'm going to go to my desktop, my pictures and videos, currency. I'm going to add those pictures right here. And I'm going to go ahead and upload. So it truly is as simple as that. Whether that's a video, documents, pictures, audio file, you go in here, you upload it, and now it's in that case. So we're actually going to go to that case. We'll go to search. We're going to look for that case. And we'll go in. And I have my virtual folders here. And then I can go in and actually see the pictures that I just uploaded. So one thing I like to do right out of the gate, because I think it's an important value that DigitalOnQ provides, and we talk about saving time, is getting away from downloading these to thumb drives, CDs, having to actually physically drive this evidence over to the prosecutor's office. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that Ramona is a prosecutor and I need to send these pictures over for a case. So instead of having to download that, I'm actually just going to share that with her from the system. So I could share all these pictures. I could share a few. Let's just pick a few right here. And we're going to share these. I'll put in her information, her email address, and I can decide how long I want her to have access to those pictures. And then I'll share. And now that will send to her, and I'm actually going to transfer the share to her so she can walk through what it looks like. Now, just to throw it out there, if you have a few prosecutors that you work with every single week, we're on a subscription model, so you could give them access, like a view access only, so they could just go into the system and grab the pictures, but you can also do the share feature. So Ramon, I'm going to turn over to you for a minute to just kind of walk through what it looks like from your end receiving that information. And you'll just have to go off mute.
I have to unmute myself. Yep, there we go. Yes, no problem. All right, so let me know if you can see my screen okay.
You're good.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
So the recipient will receive an email similar to this. It's going to indicate how many items of digital media that have been shared with me, and then there's going to be a link to view those items. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. To log in, if you are new to the system, you're going to have to select forgot password, and the system will prompt you to create a password. But because I am a known user, I'm going to log in here. And then here's where I can view all of the digital media that has been shared with me. On this page, I can look at the case details of what has been shared and additionally view all of these images and download them. Something to note is while I'm doing these actions in the system, this is actually being captured on the agency's end of when I'm viewing and downloading. So it is being captured in that chain of custody, which Brian's going to be able to show you here in a minute. So let me just go ahead and download a few just so we have that in our chain of custody. And Brian, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Ramona. All right, I'm going to share again. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Yes, we can see your
Okay.
screen.
Perfect. So that's quickly just showing the share functionality. We can dive deeper into it on a personalized demo later on. Just some other features while I'm in the actual search and I'm looking at a case. I can do a lot of things here. I could edit the case info. I could print these pictures. If I accidentally uploaded one, I could delete it. It's a multi-step deletion process, which we will go over later. You can't accidentally delete something from the system, so don't worry about that. I can run reports, so I could run a chain of custody report, which I'll show you in a minute. But let's actually go into the pictures or videos. So in this, I can click on this picture. And this is what I'm talking about with that chain of custody. You want to be able to see who's viewing this. Are your officers looking at these and they're not supposed to? Did anyone edit one? And you can see the media history. It's timestamped and it gives the username. So it tells you what they did, when they did it. Then you have a case history too. Who has gone into this case? Maybe not this picture, but this case. And then you have the metadata, which is really important, right? You want to be able to confirm, is this the actual true picture, or is this a duplicate, or was this taken around the same time that they're saying it was? So you can see that right here. I know there's some other vendors out there where it's actually hard to get the metadata, but for us, we make it very easy for you to grab it right from the picture. One other thing, I'll go back here. We have some light editing features. So if I want to go in here and let's say I'm preparing for court, and in one of these pictures, I want to highlight that, on the dollar bill, there's blood spatter or there's a mark on it. I can go in and, add a rectangle and put a text box around it. It's not going to alter the original. It's going to make like a duplicate. So you could then share that picture. I'm just for time's sake, I'm not going to go through it, but if you want to see that later on, we can certainly show you that as well. Back here. Let me just run a report. So maybe you wanted to, run a report on these two. This is a demonstration site, so we have more reports as well, but you have a chain of custody, metadata, summary review, but just to show you, let's run a chain of custody on these two pictures that I selected here. And now I have my chain of custody that I could print out and bring to court with me, or if I needed to attach it to a case file, you can download this and print this as well. So I'll move on to citizen upload, which I think is another really important feature that a lot of our agencies like. There's two ways you can do this. The first way I think agencies use a lot is it's an individual request. So a witness saw a hit and run, or they had a bunch of property that was stolen and they have pictures of it. Instead of your investigators having to go to their house, download that Ring camera, or go into their phone and have them email it to you or download it, you can simply send them a link and then they can go through the process of uploading those photos or that Ring camera video and sending it to you. Saves a lot of time and it's more effective. The other option is we have a group one where maybe there was a drive-by shooting at a Walmart and you want to create a QR code that you're going to post on your agency's Facebook page, or you're going to send it out to the news so they can post it. You can do it that way as well. That one is you'll send out the QR code, a citizen would log in, they'd scan the QR code, and then they would fill out at least their name, and then they could send in the evidence that way. But we're going to actually walk through the individual process to show you what it looks like. So as an investigator, let's say I'm investigating a case, I can create that request. I'll go in here and use this case, upload the hit and run pictures of the vehicle. The date that it occurred was yesterday. I'm the request owner, and I'm going to give them 7 days to upload something. From the citizen side, you have to at least put their name, and then you have to include either a phone number or an email. If it's a phone number, they'll get a text message. If it's an email, they'll get an email. And again, we're going to use Ramona as the witness. Thanks, Ramona. And she will walk through showing you the process of what it looks like from like a witness side. So I'll save that. All right, Ramona, I'm going to turn over to you again just to walk through that quickly.
Yeah, no problem. Just waiting for it to hit my inbox. It always hits my phone before it hits my email. There we go. All right, let me share my screen again. I'm used to Teams, I tell you. I'm like looking for the button. All right, there we go. All right, so let me select the link and the email I received. All right, so when I go to upload some evidence, I'm going to be directed to this screen. There's going to be a two-step authentication method. So first being that it was sent to me directly, and I'm going to have the system send me a passcode in order to enter, upload that evidence.
And we made this a little easier. We didn't want, citizens or witnesses having to create an account, create a password, since it's a one-time thing. So we just made it a two-factor, right, Andy?
Yep, but they can always get back in later too. It's just every time they want to log in, it's a two-factor authentication, but no, for individual requests, no account recreation or anything like that. There is a very, very brief registration if you're doing a group request, but it's, again, as simple and straightforward as we can make it.
Perfect, thanks.
Here's the details of what Brian is asking for me to submit. So I'm going to browse my photos here, and I'm just going to select a few for Brian to review. And quickly upload these. There we go. So now I'm going to pass it back to Brian, and he'll be able to show you on the agency side what that looks like for review.
Perfect. Thanks, Ramona. Let me share my screen. All right, Ramona, can you see it okay?
Yes, I can see it.
So as an investigator, and I say investigators because typically you're not going to have patrol officers doing this, but maybe you will. So this is, and I'll show the group permissions in a minute, but typically your investigators, detectives will be using this piece of the module a lot more. But I would get notified via email that evidence was uploaded, like a citizen request was uploaded. I can then go in here and click on it. What's nice is, right, if it's spam, if it's junk, I don't have to accept it, but I'm going to look. Yep, it was from Ramona. Here are the pictures. I'm going to go in here. These are what I needed for this case. So I will go in here and I will actually accept these 3 pictures. And then I'll go into the case and I'll show you what it looks like and why the metadata is so important. As an investigator, I just at least have to put some information to help me. So, this upload and run. I'm the one that's handling this, and we're going to put it in the other case folder. Accept this. So now they've been accepted. I'm going to go back to that case, and I'll show you what it looks like. If I go in here, and I go to one of those RV pictures, this one. This is where, again, you can see the case history, but you can see the media history. You can tell that this picture was a citizen upload. But what I really like about the metadata is it's going to show you, all the information from, obviously it was an iPhone 6S. But what I really like is the date. So if they said, oh yeah, this was the picture of the case from last week, but then we go to the metadata and I don't know, that doesn't seem pretty accurate because it's from 2020. So very important there. Andy, anything you want to hit on?
Yeah, if you just want to scroll down too, you can also see all citizen upload items will have just a little blurb here too with the citizen information that you populated when you sent that request. So that way, whenever you come back and look, you can see, hey, this was, from a request that was sent to Ramona. If you had put her address or any other information in there as well, it would have showed up there as well. So
perfect. Yeah, that's super valuable because if someone's investigating or looking at this, they could reach out to Ramon if they had additional questions. Thanks, Andy. So yeah, something I really like every agency we deal with or talk to, they see the value add there. So I just wanted to highlight that. Quickly, we'll hit on reports. So again, this is a demonstration site, but we have multiple reports. So you could run, a lot of agencies want to know how much usage in the system they're doing every month, especially if they're in cloud. So I can go here to my usage. This is a demonstration site, so I'm going to go back quite a bit to today. We're going to apply. We're going to run that report. And then it'll be able to tell me, right, how many files, what's the average file size, what's the total gigabytes, so that I can track that and I could download and print that as well. But now we're going to kind of shift to more I call it the back end, but from an administrator standpoint, the biggest goal for DigitalOnQ was to limit the amount that you have to involve IT. As much as you can do things in the system, we wanted the user interface to be very easy. So if I go to security, because security is very important, you can create users, pretty simple to do, but I'm going to talk more about the groups. So what we see a lot is you might have your patrol officers, maybe if you have prosecutors and paralegals involved, but then you'll have like an investigator detective group, and then you'll have your administrators that have access to pretty much everything. And you can give them permissions based on groups. So I'll go into the investigators, or actually let's do the officers. I'll go into officers, we're going to edit this. You can decide what screen when they log in. Is it the search, the upload screen, the query screen? But here are all the different permissions you can give them. I mentioned citizen upload, right? Maybe we don't want our officers to have access to handling citizen upload. Maybe we don't want them to do anything type of deletion, but there's other features we want them to have. So it's very simple to go in and change or add a feature or not. And
So
then
I
with
think
that, go ahead.
I think we have a question that's relevant to what you're doing right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So somebody has asked, do you have a solution for uploading physical digital evidence and mitigating any potential for bad actors to come into our network?
So if I understand the question correctly, and please, if you want to add a clarification, let me know. All evidence uploaded via Citizen Upload is scanned for viruses. So we're not going to be accepting anything in that has a virus. It'll flag it and warn you that it's has a virus before downloading. And then to the point that Brian made before, if they send you images that just aren't relevant to the case, they send you a picture of something that they shouldn't send you, you can just go ahead and reject that. And once that citizen upload request expires, it'll be purged from the system at that point. And that's if I understand your question correctly. So please, if that wasn't what you meant or we're talking about, please feel free to clarify.
To follow up.
Okay, thank you.
And so we talked about the security perspective, right? I can lock it down by individual case. So like I mentioned, maybe this is a homicide or an internal investigation. I can add a case here. Here's the case number. I don't want anyone to see this case, but the two investigators that are handling it. So maybe it's, Jameson and Jamie. So these are the only two that can go into that case and view anything to do with that case. So it's really nice that you can lock it down that much, but you can also, from a security perspective, when you add, and this is what ties to the retention. So all the crime types, we can go off of your crime types. So, felony, homicide, misdemeanor, you can decide what groups have access to those crime types. So if we wanted to say, add a security rule for civil misdemeanor, who are the groups that can see civil misdemeanors? I'm fine with our investigators, officers, paralegals, and prosecutors viewing all those. So then they'll be able to go in there and see those cases. And then let's hit on retention. So this is another nice feature. Now you can actually start to understand when your digital evidence is up for disposition, or is it time to actually get rid of this evidence? We'll work with you during installation to actually create these rules. But if you need to change one, and the one I like to use is found property. Right now we have found property at 6 months, but maybe you have too much stuff and you want to purge it faster. You're only keeping found property for 3 months now. Well, let's change it from 6 months to 3 months, save it. Now any found property case after 3 months will be in the expired media. I put felony for 1 day just to show you what it looks like because I didn't have any. So if I go here to expired media, now I can see all my cases that have hit that threshold, Nothing ever automatically gets deleted from the system, but as an administrator, I can say, okay, case 261433 is up, it hits retention. Should we get rid of this case or not? And then I can look into that and go through the deletion process if needed. What I will hit on next, though, is what happens if you accidentally upload something and you have to get rid of it. So let's go to that case that we've been working on. Again, so there'll never be the excuse, oh, sorry, LT, I accidentally deleted something. You can't actually delete anything from the system. But for example, here I uploaded the same picture twice. So let's get rid of this one picture. It was a duplicate. Oh, sorry. Back up. So this is the picture we have to get rid of. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to delete. Comment, duplicate. Deletion type. I can delete the file only, the thumbnail in the file, or I can get it completely gone from the system. So again, it's a multi-step process. So I'll hit delete selected. It almost has like a checks and balance. So if I were to enter 3, it's not going to let me delete it because I only have one piece of evidence selected. So I'm going to go to 1. I'm going to delete it. So now that's been marked for deletion, but you would need an administrator to go in and actually delete it from the system. So I'll go to my deletion review now. Oh, there's that case. Oh, it was uploaded by accident. Okay, I'm good with that. I double checked it. So as an administrator, I'll go in, I'll review this. Deletion type, yep, we're going to get rid of all of it. And it was, again, a duplicate. Delete. Again, how many? 1, gone. So again, multi-step process, can't accidentally delete anything, but it allows you to actually control. Being at a lot of the IDP classes, you hear, purging is an issue, having too much evidence is an issue, physical evidence, but more importantly, digital evidence, right? Terabytes can add up over time, and you want to be able to have a control over how much evidence you have. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Andy to cover Profiler. Andy, if you want to share your screen and walk through Profiler, and I want really Andy to hit on just the ease of use, okay? Pretty much this whole system, you can, as an administrator, do most of it, and you're not really having to involve IT for much. Andy?
Yep. Can you guys see my screen? Should be shared, hopefully.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, the profiler is probably either my first or second favorite part of the application. I love Profiler and Citizen Upload because it really lets you decide what data is most important to you and then to customize it at any time. So you get to configure a separate profile for your case and your media items. That way, any data that's common across all items in a case isn't duplicated, right? So I know some systems will duplicate the data and you have to put the case number and all the case information on every single item. You don't have to do that with our system, right? So you create your case profile, you collect all the common information at the case level, and then you decide which items are media specific or item specific, and that's the data you collect at the media item. That way you don't have duplicate data. You enter the data once when you create the case. You update it once at the case level if anything changes there. You don't have to go touch every single media item if you need to update your case data. When we first set things up, meaning when you are onboarded with digital or with FileNQ, right, we will help kind of set up the profile to collect the data that you want. It's something that we'll work with you on, kind of get you, everything collected, laid out, get all the fields added and stuff. But in the future, once you're in the application and using it, you don't have to come back to us to make changes, right? You can make changes to this at any time. We're always here to help if you have questions or want help making updates. But it really is as easy as just coming to your profile, and let's say we want to start collecting an additional piece of data for every media item that's uploaded. Let's say, well, it would be really nice to start collecting the date collected, right? So we're just going to come into our media profile. I got a little ahead of myself there. So we're going to come to our media profile. I'm going to add a field to one of our existing sections here. And I'm just going to say, I want a date field. I'm going to call it date collected. This is kind of the back end name, and this is the front end name that you actually see. This would be the name that you would see on any reports or anything like that, or when you're looking for the data on the back end. This is what you'll see displayed from the front end when you actually look at the profile. So I'm going to say date collected. I can give it a description if I want. I can choose some options if I want this to appear as a search field and in their query builder. If it's a hidden field that's only displayed for certain people based on rules, if it's required, I'm going to make this one required. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit save here. And as easy as that, I have a new data field that is now required to be collected for every piece of evidence going forward. And if I choose that, if I decide that it doesn't need to be required in the future, I can always come back in and change that. But if it's something that's important that we want collected for every item, we can leave it as collected. And we'll see now, as soon as I go to the upload screen, it's there now. It was literally that easy. It took us 10 seconds to get that field added. Once we get some items uploaded that have this, because anything you've added before you add the field isn't going to have data there. You can always go back in and add that information later if you want. But this will be required now every time going forward, every time you collect a new piece of or upload a new evidence, you'll have to put data in there. Then once there's data in there, we can also then search on it. So if we actually come here to the search screen, we will also see that we have the date collected down here. So I can basically say, hey, show me everything collected on the 1st of June, or whatever the case may be. So it's really that easy to go ahead and add fields. If we go back to the profile real quick, we go, oh, I really wanted that date collected right up by the submitted by. It's really easy to do that too. You just come in here, you can move this around and save it. So we give you a lot of flexibility. If I wanted to add a whole new section, if I had 3 or 4 additional fields that I wanted to collect for evidence that maybe weren't related to any of the existing ones, right? I could just add, this is additional. I could add a whole new section if I want. And then I can group additional fields under this one. Again, we try to make it as easy as we can to come out here and collect the data. It's your data, right? You know what information you need to collect, and we make it easy for you guys to do that.
Thanks, Andy. Andy, the only other thing that you brought up that I kind of forgot about, just showing, if you want to show them where it is Query Builder. So we have the ability to create and save custom queries. And the example I use is maybe you want to understand, like figure out how many cases you've brought in the last month, or how many felonies or something like that.
So we could just do something. I'll do something really quick here, like we'll go K-State between.
And there's not going to be much. So you might want to go back.
Yeah. We'll do a bigger range here. We'll do between April and now or whatever. So I didn't like that. Sorry. To the current date. So now basically, if I go ahead and save this query, this can get run at any time in the future. Oops. We'll add a category. Okay. So now I can go ahead and run that. And I don't know how much data will be out there for this, but yeah. So basically, though, this is everything where the K-state is in that range that I selected. But you can build, that's a very simple query. You can build more complex queries. You can be like, hey, give me everything that is a felony that was uploaded between this date and this date that has a firearm, right? If you're collecting the data, you can report on it. So if you had like a firearm flag on your profile, you could do something like that. So
thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
Cheryl, are there any more questions out there?
It looks like you guys have answered all of the questions. So just so you know, you guys should be able to see the questions and the answers that our panel is given over here. But I don't have any open questions, but we've had some great questions along the way. If I don't know if you guys want to review those and expand on them.
Yeah, if you want to pull up that last slide, Cheryl, and then I'll speak to that and some of the things we just talked about.
Okay.
So the point of kind of today's overview is just to get you thinking about what else is out there, how you're currently storing and managing your digital evidence, and then an overview of what FileOnQ can offer, especially from our DigitalOnQ, our platform. This was more high level. We can dive deeper if your agency is interested in seeing this, looking at more depth into our system. We can certainly set up a more personalized demonstration with your agency, whenever you guys want. I will say the biggest thing we wanted to to show you is the ease of use for your agencies, limiting IT involvement, It's making it easy for your officers to get in and out of the system. Former law enforcement, I went through a few different RMSs, a few different evidence management systems. Trying to learn a new system can be cumbersome. So with our system, it's very easy. The train's easy, and especially from an officer standpoint, you're maybe in there for 5 minutes uploading something and then you're out. And then from the administrator side, as maybe a digital evidence forensic person or someone that's working in the property room, you saw pretty much what we call the back end from what you have to do, and what Andy just showed you, creating fields, changing fields. It only takes, a few minutes. So I hope everyone saw that. And we wanted to end with this last slide. Please, if you're looking for a full demonstration, or you want to understand our pricing model and all that, just scan the QR code and we can find time to connect later. And I just want to touch on that we do offer more than just digital. So if you're a customer of ours, you understand we have evidence and digital. We also have quartermaster, fleet, and then we do have sexual assault kit tracking and case management as well. So please feel free to reach out to us for any questions or if you want to learn more.
Awesome. I want to thank everybody for being here today, and especially our panel. You guys did a great job and went through a lot of information. So if you guys have any questions, please reach out to any of the people that were on our panel today. You're going to get a follow-up email here in just a few minutes. I want to thank Amanda Latta. She's our marketing executive here at DigitalOnQ, and she's the one who puts these informational sessions together, schedules them for you guys, gets all of the panelists together, and makes sure that you guys have the information that you need. So you're going to get an email from her shortly, just a follow-up with kind of a recap and information on how to get hold of these wonderful panelists that we had today. So again, thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful and beautiful day. And we will see you, hopefully, on our next session. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.